of the world's installed renewable energy. I mean, everything from solar to wind farms, etc. So, I mean, China has spoken by its example rather than just talking about goals. Also, Xi Jinping has made it very clear that by 2030 he expects a 65% reduction versus the 2005 baseline, and that China will be carbon neutral by 2060. These are ambitious goals. They lag a little bit behind the 2050 carbon neutrality that the world has identified, but as of now, there's really no path there. You know, people talk about this, but there hasn't been enough movement on there. China is really the only one who is putting forward a substantial plan.
I'm glad you brought up this goal about being carbon neutral by 2060, because on the other hand, more than 2/3 of the power needed right now in China is generated from fossil fuels, mostly coal. So how does the country ease off this dependence?
Well, they've set some ambitious goals, 25% renewables. They're going much more towards natural gas. And you're seeing the markets there, not only the pipelines that are coming in from Russia, but the CGTN that's coming in from the Middle East and other places. The U.S. is obviously contending for that. Australia was contending for that. But the issue here is that unless you switch to these, you cannot achieve this goal. Coal obviously is a very, very difficult fuel because of the environmental consequences, not only the carbon side, but also just the dirtiness of mining it and extracting and things like this. So China's taking very concrete steps, but at the same time, it's not just about these new technologies. They're very important. They're also increasing the national grid, the delivery system, and not only the physical one, but they're also talking about the market having a decisive role here. They're opening up the transmission lines. They're no longer allowing those to be monopolized by the producers, the Chinese producers. They're opening it up much more across the board because they're hoping the kind of efficiencies that come from an open market process.
So we're seeing this infrastructure building up, but there's always the issue of protecting the environment versus growing the economy. So how is China juggling these priorities?
Well, China's at a different stage in its development. I mean, it has not achieved first world status. I mean, it's literally a factor of 5 below the United States in terms of GDP per person. But, the environment is absolutely crucial, and I think it's very clear that China is taking to heart that this is not something you can wait and see about. Clean air, clean soil, clean water are absolutely necessary to any kind of existence, and China, feels that it has to take a leadership role in it, especially since it is the largest producer of it. But, the good news is, it was put in the report, China is consistently decreasing its carbon footprint versus its GDP. Its GDP was increasing about 7% over the last few years, but energy consumption was only going up 2.8. Now, a lot of that is a reflection of an increasingly less manufacturing and more services-oriented economy. As that continues, it makes it easier for China to do, but they still have to find ways of being efficient, which is talked about in the report, and how they're going to, put all of these pieces together. And I think this is something that countries don't have to necessarily lockstep, follow China. They should be studying China in terms of the overall planning.
Right, and always leading